Hi, welcome back. How you doing? You enjoying this? I think this is the coolest stuff. I really enjoy and appreciate and find tremendous value in teaching things that are so practical as what we're talking about here right now. That you can do this at home. You don't have to have a lot of money. You don't have to have a lot of hardware. You just need some box of some kind, and it doesn't take much of a box to run pfSense, and free software and some knowledge and skill that you need, and you can do amazing things to provide protection for yourself, your family, and others, and it translates into employable job skill. So we're back now. We've In our previous video we looked at DNSBL, and now we want to look at GeoIP. GeoIP is more straightforward than DNSBL. DNSBL, quite honestly, you could spend a very long time digging deep and learning it, and I am leaving that up to you. I want you to understand what it is and how it works and the fundamentals. But then, as I mentioned in the last video, beyond that, I'm leaving it up to you, and I'm hoping that you're just getting that itch to that this is an incredibly powerful tool, and that's encouraging you to dig a little deeper with it. GeoIP is more straightforward. You think about the world, literally the world, and that an organization, MaxMind, their job, their service that they provide, and people subscribe, paid subscribers, companies subscribe to their database. That's how they're a business. MaxMind creates they're constantly, 24 by 7 by 365, cataloging IPv4 and IPv6 internet networks globally, where they are around the globe. Okay. They graciously provide access to that database for you and I if we'll fill out a form. And so what we're about to do requires that you have filled out the form and received your code for MaxMind, and you have entered it. Now, how will you know if it's successful? Oh, wait, after you enter it, what do you have to do? You have to hit update. Entering it alone isn't enough. You have to go in and run your update to get that database to load. When you go to do it, you can actually watch it load, and it said that it was 4 megabytes of information for all of the IPv4 and IPv6 networks around the world. Okay, having done that now, we now go to Firewall, pfBlocker, and we go to the IP tab. We were on the DNSBL tab. Now we're on the IP tab, and we're going straight to GeoIP. pfBlockerNG has broken up into the world into these categories. Okay, continents, top spammers, proxy, and satellites. Okay, now right now, none of them are enabled, none of them at all. Okay, so this is not it's installed, but it's not configured. The database isn't active, and it's not configured by default. You and I have to do it. Let's start with one. Let me give you kind of an overview of it, and then I'm gonna pause the video and let you go in and do your own work, and then we'll review notes. So let me go to North America. Okay, all right, so here's North America, and I'm going to go over here to the pencil. Now, if you do not see anything in this list, if this list is blank, that means that your MaxMind key, well, you don't have the MaxMind database. It means either that you don't have the key or that you haven't updated once you've entered the key. So this should be populated. Okay, now, if you take a look at this, these are everything considered North America. Pretty long list. Now, the US is us. I do not want to block traffic from the United States. Over here, go back up to the top. Over here on the left is IPv4. Over here on the right is IPv6. Okay. All right. Now you can hold down the Shift key and mark them that way, or you can do a Control A and mark them that way. I'm going to Control A everything, but now I need to unmark the United States. Holding down the Control key, I unmark the US for IPv4, and I unmark the US for IPv6. Now, we're thinking, well, wait a second. What are we really doing here, Randy? I mean, okay, you're right. I should have started the video with this. What we're talking about is you've got your firewall here, and here's the internet. This is only meaningful. What we're doing here with GeoIP is only meaningful if you're hosting services. Okay, in other words, if you've got an RD gateway, if you've got that inside here, if you've got VPN, if you've got remote desktop protocol, if you have services in here or machines, client PCs or Windows servers that are listening on the internet, then this absolutely 100% applies. If you do not, like this may be your home network, if at home you do not have anything listening, there's no VPN into home, no Plex server that people are connecting to, no remote anything, then you don't need to do this. This only is useful if you are advertising ports. So we got ports here that are open to the internet. If you have ports that are open to the internet using GeoIP, you can say who is allowed to come through, who is allowed to come in unsolicited. Okay, remember that term, right? Solicited is we've got somebody in here that says, I need to go out to the internet, and that reply comes back. That's solicited. The firewall allows that. It's called a dynamic firewall. It's when somebody out here, and we're going to give them a sad face, when they're wanting to get in, whether you invited them or not. That's unsolicited, and that's what we're interested in managing. And GeoIP is an amazing tool to do that because, for example, site. As you know, we have services that are open. Your ESXi services are advertised to the internet, RD gateway, VPN, a bunch of stuff. Well, a fair amount of stuff. Okay. I do not have any expectation, or I do not have any students that I'm working with that are outside the US. Okay. So one of the first things I can do, which is huge, is I can say I am not, that pfSense is not allowed to accept any packets that originate from any country other than the US. You get it? Okay, I think you guys got it. All right. So I come down here and I say, United States, what action do I want to take? And I want to take deny inbound. Typically, deny inbound is your default rule. If you would also like to not allow users to go there. Now, this doesn't stop somebody from going to St. Vincent, yeah, or St. Martin. It doesn't allow a user from going there. That's solicited, right? That's where the user inside your network says, "Oh, I need to check on the temperature in St. Martin." Or I need to see if I can book a bed and breakfast, or I don't know, and that's solicited. That came from inside your network. You go to the country, you get your question answered, or your website open, or whatever you're doing, that comes back. This is somebody from this country wanting to come into your network without being invited. Okay, deny inbound. If we wanted to deny that our users could not go there, we would deny both inbound and outbound. Okay. All right, so you get that. So deny inbound and save, and we're done. Now, the rest of these, I'm going to pause the video and let you kind of go through them. In my case, I have everything else blocked on Edge 1. Let's just go look at Edge 1. Okay, so firewall, pfBlocker, IP, GeoIP. Notice that these are all set to deny inbound. And if I go look at any of them, notice that they're all. So this one is top spammers, Africa, Antarctica. The newest one is proxy and satellites. I mean, I had a concern because some students do use proxying, or like I'm concerned about when some people have private VPNs that we may be blocking them. I think I had a conversation with a couple of you when you were having trouble getting in. Was it potentially that you were using a VPN service and our GeoIP was filtering that? Okay. All right. So let's do this. Let me pause the video and ask you to go do what you're going to do, and then give you a few minutes to let it run. And when we come back, what we want to do, and again, I'm using Edge 1 because Edge 1 is still doing the work for us. What we want is we want to see these start to get hits. And with all that we're doing, I'm only looking for minimal screenshots with this project, because a screenshot like right here would tell me the world. It would, from right here, just the DNS, this right here. This would tell me the world. If I see a count here, if I see this, it tells me you've done a ton of work. Okay, so let me pause the video and let you go add your your selections for GeoIP, and then we'll just come back and I'll see if I thought of anything I forgot to include. Okay, how'd it go? Go pretty good. Okay. When you get this all done, thinking, do you have to run update? Yes, you do. If you want them to take effect, you come in and you run the update, and it runs then and reloads your configuration of what you're allowing and what you're denying. Okay. So you're thinking, okay, Randy, did you think of anything else? I did. I did. Thought of a very real situation that I want to share with you. So here's the deal. Let's go look at our firewall rules. Let's go over to Edge 1. So here we are in Edge 1, and I'm looking at the firewall rules, and I'm looking at the WAN side of it. Okay, and you can see here that this one is that's our Bogon networks. Okay, but then all of the GeoIP ones, these are all because of what we just did. Okay, they're all there now. You should see all these on your firewall. Now these blue dividers here, those are separators. Those come from down here. You can add them, and I added them just to kind of group and give me some names about what the rules are. They're not as useful as you might think, because as rules change, the separators get they don't stay put, and every once in a while I have to go in and kind of like clean them up or move the rules around to get everybody back in the right place. And then when I do, you click save again. In fact, I just did that before I started this video. Okay, so here's the deal. We're blocking all these countries except for the United States, and you are about to take a trip, or you've got an employee that's about to take a trip, and you want to be sure. Maybe they're just going to go to Canada. I mean, Canada's. You want to be sure that they're able to remote in. Okay. All right. That's one example. Let me give you a real example. Well, that's a real example. Let me give you another example. You're running a Plex server at home. Okay. We run a Plex server at home, my wife and I. We record over the air TV, and it's advertised to the internet through the Plex cloud server. Okay. Now, the Plex cloud server uses Amazon Web Services, but it uses their low-cost tier on Amazon Web Services such that it bounces around the globe based upon which data centers are least active. So they're going for the low rent space. I believe Microsoft allows this too, but Amazon Web Services allows this. You can bring up an instance, and you can configure it such that you're always looking for the cheapest way to offer it, and that's what Plex does. And so you may go and you go to I think it's Plex.tv, whatever it is. You go there, and you're actually going to a web server hosted by Amazon Web Services, and you then authenticate, and then it redirects you back to your home server. That's what it does. But that server moves around. It may be in the US today, you go home tonight, it may be hosted in the UK. It moves around. And so if we're doing these rules and our Plex server allow rule, remember that's unsolicited, meaning that from somewhere on the internet you're wanting to get to your Plex server. If it's currently being hosted by AWS somewhere other than the United States, it's going to be denied. So what do you do? Here's what you do. Let's use our OpenVPN rule. You create your allow rule, which you already have, right? You have to have an allow rule for your Plex server for people to get to it from the internet anyway. So you got this allow rule. What you do is you drag it up before all of your GeoIP deny rules. That's what you do. So what happens? Well, the rules are evaluated top to bottom. Okay, so a request comes in. Is it Bogon? No. It goes to here. Is it for, in this case, it's OpenVPN? Yes. Boom, you're allowed. If it's not port 1194, then it continues to work its way through. So that's how you make exceptions to this GeoIP filtering, is you put the allow rules for services that may need to be accessed outside of your designated countries. You put their allow rules ahead of your block rules. Does that make sense? OpenVPN's a good one. Every once in a while, my family, we live so close to Canada, and my family just has a hankering every once in a while to go up into Canada, and it's beautiful and whatnot. And I'm sometimes worried, or worried's not the right term. I'm sometimes, because I'm inquisitive IT guy, I want to, can I connect back from Canada? And so this is what I'll do. I'll move in my case, OpenVPN, I'll move that rule up ahead of all my other rules. Now, could I also go in and just go into my countries and undisable or enable Canada? Yes, and I would do that for playing with it. I would VPN in. You get the idea, right? I don't want to spend a lot of time. So that's how you make an exception to um, your GeoIP for either a service or for something like that. So when you do that, though, here's just a bit of kind of, as we're sharing information together. When you make these allow rules that you put in front of your block rules, be very specific with them. Don't be real general, like, allow everything to your Plex server. Don't do that. Figure out what ports your Plex server needs and only allow those ports. Okay, be careful. Why? Well, because anything you put on the internet is a potential target. It may not have a vulnerability today, but it may next month. And so we want to be as strict as possible, and we want the rule to allow what we need, but we don't want it to allow any more. Okay, the last thing to share with you is that these GeoIP rules, countries do grow, expand, and change. So every once in a while, you need to go back in and you need to look and see if any new network IDs have been added. Okay, let's just go see. I haven't done this in a while. Yes, I want to leave this. I go to IP, GeoIP, and let's go take a look at my countries here. So what you do is you just scan and see if there's any white spots here. A white spot would be something that's been new, that's been added. And they do show up. Oh, how often do I check this? I probably check it once every month or so. If I'm in here doing something else and have them in it, I'll just run through the list. They're real easy to spot because they're literally just a white. They're not in the gray. They're not indicating that they've been marked off. I know I don't want you to get seasick as I scroll up and down. I'm not seeing any here. So we haven't had any changes in a while. Well, since I last checked anyways. North America, it'd be good to check there. See how the US stands out. Okay, what they would look like is they'd look like, whoops, so let me do this here for you. Control A. It would look like that. You'd see maybe one or two, something like that, and then also maybe something over on IPv6. So they stand out. They readily stand out. Okay, I won't take any more of your time. I'm thinking that we'll do one more video. There's a couple more things I'd like to show you, and I'll just give you a heads up on it now. Under DNSBL, there is a safe search option, and I do use it, and I'd like to talk with you about it. Okay, and it's right up here. Web browsers and YouTube offer different URLs that you can go to that provide some level of filtering. For example, YouTube has a moderate, it has and a strict. As you know, YouTube can have content that may not be appropriate for all audiences, and so you have a safe search option here. And what it does is it redirects. Well, I'm telling you, I'll just finish telling you. What Safe Search does is it redirects from regular youtube.com to restrict.youtube.com. They're different names, but pfSense, pfBlocker running on pfSense does that for you automatically. It takes if you're searching using Google or whatever you're doing, it's actually browser based. It tells you here is it takes their normal requests and it converts them into the safe filtered equivalent. And it's just called Safe Search. You can do this through CNAME aliases. You can do it manually, and we used to do it that way, but now it's built in. And so I just want to share that with you. It's quite interesting. Some browsers are more effective than others. Firefox is supported, Edge is supported, Chrome is supported. Those are the three that we support here on site. And to varying degrees, it's successful, but not perfect. None of this stuff is perfect. And if we can get a 90+% positive rate, we're doing pretty good. But it's impossible to get 100% filter rate on all of these things. So, anyways, if you have audiences, children at home, that kind of thing, and you'd like to put in some moderation about what is delivered when they do a search through a web browser, then this can be a tool that can help filter that for you. Okay, so then I won't have a video on that. I'll just have to look around and see if there's anything else we want to talk about. And again, I'm at 20 minutes. Thank you, and let me know if you have any questions, and I'll wrap up this video.